Drippy's home, Drippy's home. Yeah, you already know what your boy doing over there. If you know vibes, show like, comment, subscribe, show love, do best. You already know, you already know the rest, no stressing, I'm out of breath. We back with another banger, man. I ain't even gonna waste no time. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. By the way, I'm live on the Twitch, so make sure you go check out the Twitch when y'all get the chance. It's all right here, Drippy Drew 360 across all platforms. Google, motherfucker. Feel me? Let's get straight to it.
The following program is rated TV MA. Viewer discretion is advised.
And we back at it with the Young Thug trials. Video is brought to you by Cuff Boys. Shout out to the GOAT, man. He really liked that. Drop a like on there. Gotta bump up the quality. Let's get into it, dog.
It's not my fault Miss Hilton, Miss Love, and Glanville coerced a witness to testify. The prosecution in the Young Thug YSL RICO trial may have made yet another major mistake. Defense lawyer Mac.
So let me catch you up to date. I'm not even up to date completely, but I'm trying to keep up because there's been a lot been going on with this YSL case, man. So number one, basically, they had to switch judges because they were pretty much incriminating their justice system and coercing. After that happened, they tried to get another judge, and with that judge was also a part of the same party. So basically, you know, that's, I wouldn't say it's basically not legal. It's biased. You feel me? It's biased judgment. There's a better word for it, a better term for it. Hopefully, Cuff Boys can explain it in there. So they found another judge in a whole nother judicial system. And that's kind of where we are at now. And I think they had to do like 2 or 3 different judges before they finally got to this right here. 2 months later, they finally got to an actual proper judge. And as you can see today, it's more corruption. About to find out.
Mac Shart requests if Antonio Sledge, aka Munkchunk, said anything that could be considered Brady in a recent coffee shop interview. So it seems like Mac Shart was tipped off by someone that Antonio Sledge said something that contradicts his plea agreement in this coffee shop interview, which would then be Brady impeachment evidence. If this really happened and the state hid something again 2 weeks in a row, what are we doing here? Hit subscribe, join the general membership. Here we go.
Nah, Birdman, like he mad at when he thought Thug had something to do with the tour bus. He mad at him. Like, I don't know how Mr. Zachary convey Mr. Williams, not Jeffrey Williams, Brian Williams' thoughts about, well, not even knowledge, is speculation, what his feelings are about an event that neither of them were present for. That just strikes me as a whole lot of speculation. Zachary is speculating about what Brian Williams is speculating about, and I just can't see a world where that would be coming in.
Okay.
So basically, he say, she say, blase type shit between 2 people. Right.
Well, I think that Mr. Atkins is essentially conceding that unless the state is able to establish a foundation for how Zachary can testify to what Birdman is feeling, that they wouldn't be able to use this. Right?
Correct.
Okay.
The state of Georgia had Mr. Brian Williams on their short list. They did not call him. Same with Rich Homie Kwan or Mr. Lamar. The very first witness in the case, he testified several times. I can't remember his name. Belknap. He's with City of Atlanta Police Department. Whether he is alleging that Mr. Brian Williams was part of any type of conspiracy, any type of gang. He said no. It's entertainment for show. He has no information.
It's entertainment, baby. That's the main thing. Y'all trying to incriminate somebody on being a gang leader when YSL is not a gang. Everybody that said YSL was a gang, you better take care. You better relax yourself. You better rit no walu. My Zos, you know what I'm talking about. You better rit no walu.
So
It's entertainment for show. Hearing Brian Steele say that is so good.
it's total hearsay. There's no co-conspirator link. This would be just, I heard him say something or I didn't hear him say something, so I would object on that basis.
Okay.
Besides,
Like the main thing about this is, say for example, I have a sports brand and I sponsor athletes, right? However, let's say for even example, I make the bad choice of picking these athletes They help generate my revenue. That's maybe the intrinsic motivation in getting these athletes. However, there's one problem. These athletes have a problem with the law. For some reason, they like to do things that don't agree to the law. Well, me simply being a sponsor for these athletes as a sports brand owner, and me sponsoring these athletes, specifically anything sports related, that's like saying, okay, so I work for a brand. I work for, let's say, for example, I work at Walmart, and on my free time and doing the shit that I want to do with my life, I, for example, go fishing in an illegal pond, and I might buy my fishing hooks from Walmart, the same Walmart I work at, and I might get my same fishing boots and my fishing gear and all of that from Walmart at a discounted price because I work at Walmart. Should Walmart get punished and get sued and go to jail? The owner of Walmart and all of that, and the CEO and all that, should they go to jail for me wanting to do what I want to do in my free time because I'm illegally fishing in a pond or in a river or wherever I'm illegally fishing at? No, that's my fault. At the end of the day, that's me doing what I do. They aren't the ones that should be incriminated or penalized, respectfully. But that's how I look at it. That's perspective right there. Like,
reading someone's mind and what your court said. I'd like to cross-examine Mr. Ryan Williams.
What he's saying is, no, I don't think he had anything to do with it anyway, but...
That's the point.
I thought Detective Belknap had discussed some of that Mr. Birdman was a blood, but...
Mr. Birdman was a blood. Dude, it's so good seeing, like,
What if recording high-quality content, editing like a pro, and streaming like a star was as simple?
Professional people talk about and was a blood. Dude, it's so good seeing, like, proper professional people talk about gang shit.
we're not saying this is a co-conspirator statement for one, and who the state calls or doesn't call is irrelevant to the evidentiary considerations for today.
I disagree because being a blood, quote unquote, I'm not saying that the gentleman is, I'm not trying to tarnish him, but that's come out in this trial. That's not illegal.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed. I think...
So we can agree that the blood is a gang. Is it? Can we agree that if not, the Bloods are a gang, but it's not illegal to be it's not illegal to be in a gang? Or, for example, KKK, they can be considered a gang. They're not a gang though, but it's not illegal to be in a KKK.
Zachary Cold, why did they do XYZ? There would have to be adequate questions for that foundation.
Well, we would object to an order now to eliminate the first word of no. I don't believe that Jeffrey Williams ordered that. If you're saying it's a co-conspirator and he would know about it, then that is relevant. And so I don't want to ask from the question.
I'm not sure if I follow you.
Okay, so I think that the answer by Mr. Zachary, the direct question is, do you have any evidence that Mr. Williams, Jeffrey Williams, knew about or ordered the killing? The answer is no.
There you go.
And he goes on, and that part, I agree, should come out. But the no, or the nah, N-A-H, I assume, should not be struck if you're striking things.
Okay,
Proper.
well, I'm not striking or not striking this right now. All of it can only come in if there's some sort of an inconsistency and they're presenting it as, to impeach or something like that.
Who's Investigator Gaither is asking about the rank of who's the leader, and she's suggesting that Mr. Jeffrey Williams may be the leader of YSL. And Quindarius says, who said thugs the higher up, essentially. I think that's a pretty accurate quote. And Investigator Gaither, and it shows up at the end where...
So the thing is, why is it relevant if YSL isn't a gang? A leader of what? He's a CEO of the YSL, which is a record label. Where does it anywhere in that says gang? Respectfully.
Just unintelligible. She's actually interrupted by Quindarius.
Okay.
And she says, that's just what I heard. I do believe that it would be improper to play Investigator Gaither basically an out-of-court statement suggesting that she's heard from other people that Mr. Jeffrey Williams is the higher up of YSL.
There's been several times where the two detectives in all these interviews, Gaither and Dennis, were yapping about shit. I know it's an interrogation technique, just yapping about shit they heard of. Why is that being shown to the jury? I don't understand how this is even in consideration.
The source, if Mr. Zachary is claiming the source is anyone other than my client, Mr. Stillwell, I would object. However, if the source, I understand the court's prior rulings, and if the source falls under the court's prior rulings, I understand
All right.
what your ruling is.
Okay.
But as I sit here now, I have no idea what his source is with some of these.
Detective Thorpe says, after the shooting, do you know what happened to the cars and the guns? And Zachary says, yeah, they dropped it off at OG Bentley's spot, who's Mr. Treadwell. And he asked him, do you know if the guns are still around? Did they get rid of them? And Zachary says, most likely got rid of them. He's supposed to have gotten rid of them.
Snitching. OG Bentley was tasked to get rid of the guns.
Detective Gator's like, how do they usually get rid of guns? And Zachary's like, well, this is the first time. Usually we keep the guns. And Detective Thorpe asked if anyone got a word to shoot none, which is one we kind of just addressed. And he says they just wanted a name. So it's speculation, hearsay. I think the speculation objection is coming from where he says, do you know if the guns are around? He's like, they most likely got rid of them. The state's position here is that, again, his source of them going to Kevin Treadwell's house is, again, the same co-conspirator statements.
I hate the co-conspirator rule. There's so much of this that shouldn't be allowed in.
Google, come correct. What's a co-conspirator? A person that engages in conspiracy with another person. So what's a conspiracy? A secret plan by a group or to do something unlawful or harmful. Plotting to do something unlawful or harmful. Okay.
It starts with Zachary has a comment where he's like, usually Woody and Moonsunk are doing all the shooting. And then Gaither's like, well, did Mr. Copeland slow down with his BS? And he kind of said, he says, when he's around a lot of folks, he gets pumped up. And they're kind of asking, how did Shannon Finney Stillwell get into the picture? And so he's like, well, he was friends with Copeland, comes around. Zachary says, no one really knew Mr. Stillwell that well. And then the way that what they're talking about is after the murder of Donovan Thomas. Gaither's like, well, once he did that, and that is the murder of Donovan Thomas, that we could trust him, know he's a shooter. And Zachary's response is, he started messing with Shannon hard. I take the he being defendant Williams.
He started messing with Shannon hard after Shannon killed Nutt, apparently. I think that's a little bit of a reach. They're insinuating who he is.
They can trust him. They know he's a shooter. Zachary says he started messing with Shannon hard. Kind of confirming that, yeah, he started messing with him or hanging out with him or being closer with him because he was a shooter.
I'm confused.
In the context of what Zachary's saying happened on January 10, 2015.
Okay.
I think I'm confused because they're talking fast as fuck. Hold on, and my camera died. Hold on. All right, we locked in. All right. Let's get back to it. I'm breathing all hard into the mic and shit. Hold on now.
But if this clip is played, line 13 says right. So once he did that.
Sorry, y'all. Real quick, my camera just died. I had to get that joint right. I'm gonna run this back just a second.
Messing with him or hanging out with him or being closer with him because he was a shooter in the context of what Zachary's saying happened on January 10, 2015.
Okay.
But if this clip is played, line 13 says right. So once he did that, it was kind of like we can trust him. And Zachary says, yeah, we could easily go to line 19. He started messing with Shannon, and then they go into Woody becoming a new Slug and Shannon becoming a new Woody. None of that requires line 17, law enforcement saying, we know he's a shooter. That's my objection, specifically that line. I understand.
And then Zachary says something along the lines of, until Shannon got locked up, the state would omit or ensure that the jury never hears about Shannon getting locked up when they ask him about him knowing his brother.
Okay.
Seems pretty clear. Quindarius Zachary was at the compound that night. The compound, I don't know if Your Honor's familiar. I've been to the scene. It's
gigantic.
It's very large.
Yeah.
It's unclear to me. I know that he was not on 285. That's pretty clear. Or he's saying he wasn't on 285 or when buses were shot. What's unclear to me is where he was when he's claiming people were leaving out and switching cars.
Right.
He's definitely giving that information. It's unclear to me if it's based on, and this was a widely reported event. There was hip-hop gossip, internet sites, almost immediately that are reporting what happened, different theories. So it's unclear to me whether he's there when he's saying people were leaving in certain cars. Yeah. And I concede, if he was there, it's established that he was there and he's saying he saw things with his eyes. I mean, it is what it is. I understand in a certain circumstance, he would be able to testify about what he saw. Well, in any circumstance, he'd be able to testify to what he saw. I'm not sure he saw these things. I'm not saying he didn't.
Well, I think we already made rulings. By we, I guess I mean me.
Well,
about that.
You made rulings. My recollection is you made rulings about Demekion Garlington allegedly told him about the Donovan Thomas situation.
Okay, I thought we had talked about him. Maybe we haven't, but I mean, to the extent he gets on the stand and says, I wasn't there, I don't know any of this, the state can cross-examine him about what he said before, and it may be that it's established, not cross-examine, but examine, and then y'all can cross-examine him about whatever the inconsistencies are. After they shot up the bus, what happened? We met up at the studio. What were they saying? They're basically saying, we shot up the bus. But we don't know who the we is from here. But we may know who the we is from if he somewhere else says, here are the people that showed up at the studio.
He's discussing who switched cars.
Okay.
And Zachary, so Detective Dennis says, so Max, referring to one of Defendant Williams' sisters, and Shannon switched spots. And Zachary says, told everyone they were going to watch him, calling me at the studio, say we're going to go shoot up the tour bus. And Detective Dennis is like, they said this? And Zachary says, I don't know what the hell made him shoot up the tour bus anyways. Oh, my apologies. They were at the studio, say we're going to go shoot up the tour bus. Detective Dennis says, they said this? And Zachary says, yeah, I don't know what the hell made him shoot up the tour bus anyways. Detective Dennis, who said it? And Zachary says, Pee-wee, referring to Jimmy Winfrey, how when we get to this part of the interview, we'll be asking him questions about that night.
Now, big single dude is talking. Who is this talking like this? Who is like no doubt, indubitably snitching? Who is snitching? Man's is incriminating
Supercharge
like a
your business with the
motherfucker. He
all-new
said, "Fuck
Shopify point of
the
sale."
plea."
Isn't that crazy that they can put all these overt acts in this trial? And obviously some of them, the statute of limitations have ran.
They say they just shot up the bus, so he's kind of responding to like a person he's around. So, but understand, and we will ask him the right foundation.
Indubitably, without a doubt. It's like indubitably, without a doubt. Like, dude, just without a doubt, just airing everything out, man. Airing shit out better than a laundry day. What the fuck?
Quindary Zachary about to get asked about the Donovan Thomas murder and the Lil Wayne tour bus, two big keys in this trial. And apparently this fucker snitched on everyone. Like, damn. Hour and a half in, this is our first time really seeing Thug.
Under what circumstances that statement would be used to
Who
impeach
is this guy,
any
bro?
testimony, I suppose.
But upon further consideration.
So the reason why I'm shocked is because this is my first time hearing anything about this guy, and I don't even know exactly who this guy is. But this is my first time hearing about him.
Some of the motions that have been filed
This
since
whole
that
trial.
time, including the new spin on Mr. Stillwell's motion for a constitutional and fair trial with requested relief, and just considering some of the motions that have been filed, I think by Mr. Williams since, I am actually reconsidering and have reconsidered and made a different decision about, at one point I had said I was going to just say disregard any comment about any of the actions of the lawyers, and I'm going back to the proposed instruction with that, and I'm going to say that may have been disparaging of any of the lawyers in this case, because I mean it is a fact that on the record some things were said about certain defense counsel that anybody who's an attorney would consider disparaging, unprepared, and unprofessional. So I'm going to address that and seek to cure that by just using that actual word.
Wow. So she's adding disparaging comments to defense counsel in the jury instruction.
Now we have to decide how we're going to instruct the jury about what to consider and what not to consider as to Mr. Copeland's testimony. This assumes that Mr. Copeland decides to testify. Obviously, if he decides at this point, on Monday not to take the stand at all, then it's a pretty easy instruction because it's disregard everything you heard from this witness. But
maybe that's a clear indication that the trial should be done. The jury's going to be struggling. If giving instructions to a jury is this complex, then maybe it should be done. Common sense.
Because we're telling them there's this chunk of testimony from a couple of days that y'all need to ignore entirely,
Yeah, it doesn't make
disregard
sense.
entirely, don't give it any consideration. What I propose to do, in addition to instructing them on that, is to then do some version of, and Ms. Persfield found a case that was pretty recent where a court had done this when they were having to say, ignore all that evidence, disregard it. They actually kind of said, and if there is anybody who thinks they can't, let me know. And I would propose.
No, that means that you get in a whole new jury, bro. That means you get a whole nother jury, bro. That's what that means.
To do that whenever I give this instruction, so that if there are jurors who are like, no, man, I just cannot do that. Once I hear it, I can't unhear it. Then we can know that. We can excuse those jurors. And I mean, I guess if it's 8 jurors that say that, then we might have a mistrial. But better to go ahead and figure out from the outset, as far as I'm concerned, can you do that? Instead of just being left with, oh, they're presumed to do it. Okay, so thoughts on that?
Wow. So technically, if you think about it, if the juror comes back and says, I can't do that, once I hear it, I can't get rid of it out of my head, which everyone was saying is common sense. So the jurors could decide if there's a mistrial. Can you imagine that? All this effort the past 3 weeks?
If there's evidence that they're not supposed to be considering, I don't want them to be evaluating other people's testimonies further on in this trial while still considering something they're not supposed to be considering.
I think so.
Right.
Too. It's not.
What a fucking
Right.
shit show, dude.
Have y'all yet gotten together on if he does not testify, what parts everybody agrees they want? Because there were clearly some parts that everybody wanted. Yeah. Or are you just, because y'all were all like, oh yeah, there's some good stuff in there. So if y'all all agree to it, fine. If you don't, also fine. Probably none.
After consulting with all parties on the defense side, our position is that if Mr. Copeland elects not to testify, we're going to ask that all of his testimony be struck.
That's
I
fine.
had the opportunity to cross-examine, obviously, and so that'll be our position.
All right, thank you.
If you've ever
That's
read-
30.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, that's the only way to go. Defense wasn't able to cross-examine. Jury shouldn't have heard it. Cross-examination of Woody is going to be insane.
I'm having a really hard time understanding from not necessarily everybody, but not simply one person or one side either, why when I say
Uh-oh, she's mad at both sides here.
kind of A, over and over again, and B, with a week or more's notice, I would like for y'all to be working on this and provide it to me.
Right.
Why lots of this is still
Still
not
not
provided in a
Yup.
timely manner. Have to give me an answer, but I would like for y'all to stop doing that, okay? Because we are in the middle of this trial, as y'all all well know. And, you know, one of the complaints made by the defense is...
Y'all better get on the
"Man,
ball."
the jury's been out so long, they're not even going to have any idea what we said before. And the longer we take on everything, the longer the jury stays out. And I'm having the jury back on Monday at this point. It should not have been a surprise that we were going to talk about this today. And y'all should have already had whatever you wanted to propose ready and in final form. So let's please try to be more timely with the tasks at hand. Okay?
Yeah.
It's my understanding and belief that there may be some outstanding Brady material regarding Antonio Sledge.
Okay.
Brady
There's no way this is happening again.
to include impeachment.
Okay.
My understanding and belief is that the state may have met with Mr. Sledge and he may have said some things that would fall under Brady in a prior meeting with the state. I'm not asserting that as fact,
Okay.
but I am
Ooh.
inquiring about that. If
All right,
there was a
can you-
prior meeting with Mr. Sledge
Okay.
at a coffee shop.
All right.
Ooh.
Mr. Shard is correct. I was at the meeting and an investigator, there was nothing that I took to, I'm going over in my head everything he said.
Okay.
Didn't say anything. I don't know what part of that
Okay,
meeting
so
is.
do you two want to huddle together?
Miss Love is acting like there isn't Brady here. But can we trust Miss Love?
Ooh.
Probably not.
So do you have any reason to believe Brady material or impeachment material was shared then? Or you're just saying they had a meeting and so there may be Brady material that stemmed from it?
My understanding is that there may be Brady material.
That stemmed from it, but you don't know
Right.
what it
I
was.
knew the
So let me tell y'all real quick. So what happened previously, right? Like I said, they were pretty much the prosecutors were talking to the the person that was giving the testimony, Woody, and basically they were coercing Woody. So basically they were coercing Woody, and so they may have been some type of corruption during that meeting that they weren't supposed to have. Brady material is the evidence the prosecutor is required to disclose under this rule. There you go. Includes any information favorable to the accused which may have reduced a defendant's potential sentence. So basically, and the inconsistency. So what they were doing with Woody was they were pushing him to say everything that he that would favor the prosecutors. You feel me? So that they can get Young Thug. That was unlawful, unconstitutional. So that can't work. And so I think that's what they're pushing here. The defendant's pushing here as well.
it signed in his plea agreements or anything or said
Plea
before
agreements.
that would be
That would be
considered
Consider
impeachment and therefore
impeachment.
Brady. Yes. So you have reason to believe that he may have said something at the coffee shop inconsistent with something he already said.
I'm
Can
asking,
you be more detailed with regard to which thing it might be inconsistent
Ooh.
to, or you just don't know?
I don't know,
Okay.
and that's why I'm asking.
Okay.
I wonder if he's
They
lying.
need
he
to
does
expose
now.
the
There were
details.
4 people in the meeting. If
That's a good
anyone-
point, but the motion and what that would do basically is it needs to expose what was being said. Everything that was being said in that coffee shop needs to be exposed, basically.
Recollection of those set of events are different than mine. I'd like to know what they are because mine is not that he said something inconsistent. Somebody has said the word Brady or something, and I don't We will
Okay.
document
Something inconsistent.
Did anybody take notes? I mean, we have 4 people there. Nobody took notes. Nobody recorded.
I don't know that we know that. I don't know.
See?
I'm asking. We're
See?
ititled to it if that's what happened.
Right.
The
If it,
answer is,
hang on. Mr. Harvey, talk to me. Don't talk across to opposing
I am
counsel.
not. I am just somewhat astounded that we had 4 people meet at a coffee shop and nobody took note number 1.
Mr. Harvey, no one
Nobody
has made that
recorded it?
assertion.
Nobody recorded it. I'm asking if there was a
They
report,
should already
if
have
there were
it.
notes taken, if there was a recording, we
Okay.
would have something to review
Right.
to determine whether or not.
If
There
this
was-
is actually true
exactly.
and he did say something that could impeach him
Then
later on,
that
it's
could
really bad.
that's going to be
There
thrown
was
out.
something that should be
But
provided.
also, it can't be used as evidence now because anything that would have been said after could also be considered as coercion. It's like if you're with a cop, right? And he reads your rights. Anything you say or do can be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to remain silent, right? And then they take you in a cop car. They cut off all the cameras and they say, "Listen, you about to go to jail for a long time." You feel me? So you got no choice. When we get to the station, you got to tell me everything that happened, and you better tell me what I want to hear, or else da 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 da, right? Or we gonna cut the, you know what I'm saying, off the record. Let me know what happened, da 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 da. And then when we get to the station, we gonna get a document. We gonna get it written down, and we gonna put this story out there so that, you know what I mean, because that's coercion. Like you're taking an extra step, not even going through the process of the investigation. You're putting a thought into somebody's head that, you feel what I'm saying, the system is not valid. You feel what I'm saying? You're doing that alone it ruins the integrity of the system.
To us.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know whether that.
If I had I did not record our meeting, our conversation, because I would have turned that over. I did not record our conversation.
Okay.
I would like an answer as to whether or not any notes
Notes were taken.
Thank you.
2 things. I did not take notes. I talked.
So no notes.
No notes.
No.
All right. No notes.
I would not. There are no notes. I did not take notes. She did not.
Okay.
My notes are not something. My notes, my investigator's notes, would be something to which either of the defendants would be entitled. Would not.
Because they're attorney work product.
Yes.
However, if there's something Brady in your notes, then as you know, you need to provide it. And if there's something Brady that you hear, then you need to reduce it to writing and provide it. We talked about this before. You know that.
Yes.
And so you are maintaining that no, you didn't take any notes. No, your team didn't take any notes. As far as you can think right now, nothing Brady impeaching was said. You will give it some further thought along with your
Attorney,
Sure.
make sure that
Okay.
his memory was not.
That's all we can do at this
Attorney
point. Thank you for
client
raising it
privilege.
So that they can think about it some more.
So they're saying that's attorney-to-client privilege, but were there actually notes taken? If there were, then you can say yes and not provide the evidence to the defendants. However, it still needs to be placed on file, and it needs to be aware that there were documents taken, and the documents gotta be accurate. Like if it's the thing is, if it's attorney-client privilege, then it most likely should be private. But it's like you can't. Well, is that the thing? Is that person that's snitching? He's not looking to be defended, so he's prosecuting basically. He's not there to give a testimony anymore at that point. He's already he's part of the prosecution now, basically.
You asked the state, pursuant to my request, whether there was any Brady whatsoever from any fashion, not only impeachment evidence, but exculpatory evidence. And the state said, let me think about it. This, I believe it was yesterday.
Right.
And I'm presuming by the silence there's nothing.
I think I gave y'all, remember I told you to huddle with your team, and not just on Brady, but on anything that is discovery that you intend or think you intend to use that they might not yet have. And I think I gave y'all until Friday to finish that huddle and get that answer back. So.
All right, they went over some more evidentiary bullshit. I'm just going to wait until the fucking witness is in the court anyway. But merch is up right now. Hit subscribe, join the channel membership. Love you guys. Peace out.
Plus, I'm about to watch the second one, bro. I ain't even going to hold you. I'm about to watch the second one. That's crazy.